Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Popcorn Watchlist podcast, where we discuss and celebrate some of our favorites in TV and film. I am your host, Xavier, and today we have a really special episode, kind of a sort of a combo, because this year, in the year of 2025, we actually have two animated films that are making the jump to live action. And so, what we are going to be doing today is talking about the first release that came out this Memorial Day weekend. And that would be, as funny enough, it's another rehash of a Disney versus Tom Cruise at the box office, dating back to Minority Report and none other than Lilo and Stitch. So, fun fact, when this movie came out in 2002, I actually never saw it in theaters. So, with the live action coming out, I actually got a chance to go back and rewatch the original. Obviously, it has like some edits. I didn't watch the original, but it gave me a fun little idea and a fun little way to do some comparison before watching, the new live action. But what's really cool is that my fellow Popcorn Watchlist panelists have actually seen the original. Some of them even grew up watching it, so it's cool to see what they hold dear as opposed to someone who was like with a fresh perspective. So it's going to be really fun at that. My fellow Popcorn Watchlist panelists, Anthony, Danny, and Zach can chime in and really talk about their experiences with the original. And then we can kind of dive right into some of the differences between the live action and the original animated. So without further ado, Danny, hit us with some of the rundown, like, cast, director, production, all that good stuff.
Yeah, for sure. So this one is directed by Dean Fleischer-Camp. Actually, he had directed Marcel the Shell with Shoes On.
Yes, he did. I was already bought in fun fact, I was already bought in for the live action when they announced the director. I was like, damn, I love that movie. So we'll see what we got.
Yeah, and then we got Chris Sanders returning as the voice of Stitch, which that was cool.
Oh yeah.
He's the original director, right? And writer, I think.
One of the two directors, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Yeah. Which the other director in the original Lilo and Stitch is Dean DeBlois. DeBlois. That he did How to Train Your Dragon.
Nice.
Both How to Train Your Dragons, live action and original.
Look at that.
On the same year. That's crazy.
That's nuts, guys. It's like 2000s nostalgia comeback. Gosh, that's really what we're coming down to, guys. We're starting to reach the 2000s. Help. Anyway, go ahead.
And then, we have new actress for Lilo, which don't know how to say her name. Maya Kealoha, which I thought she was great as a Lilo.
Yes. Excellent.
And funny enough, I actually didn't notice it was him, but Zach Galifianakis.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, 100%.
He was Jumba. Billy Magnuson as Pleakley.
Dude, I have a whole rant, or not rant, but I have a whole praise for Billy Magnuson. Yeah. Billy Magnuson was ridiculously good in this. Really, really freaking good. All right, keep going.
And we have some other returning ones like Tia, which was Nanny in the original, is now Mrs. Kikoa.
She's a social worker, yeah.
Yeah. And funny enough, also, because we were just talking about Tom Cruise and Mission Impossible, and we had Hannah Waddingham show up in both.
Yeah, Hannah Waddingham is in both movies, so she's the winner. The winner is Hannah Waddingham. She played the voice of the Grand Councilwoman, which the CG was pretty good on that. Like, I thought it was going to be a little it's going to be too shiny. Like, I thought it was going to be too shiny and oiled up, but it was done pretty well.
Yeah. And then this time around, Nanny is played by Sydney Agudong. And then, funny enough, how you were saying about CGI maybe looking too shiny. It's kind of crazy that the budget for this was only $100 million
That's
with
pretty
all the
wild.
CGI.
That's kind of wild. Which again, we'll talk about like some of the ways I think they got around that in a good way.
Mhm.
But yeah, that was pretty good. Good on
Yeah.
them.
And then, with no surprise, the worldwide box office with that $100 million budget is right now at $781 million.
Dang.
Damn.
That's what was so far 3 weekends.
Yeah.
Nice.
Look at that.
So.
And right now we're recording this in like the beginning of June. So this Stitch got legs. I know he tucked in one of his like two of his arms, but he still got it.
Yeah, definitely making Disney all the monies.
You think it'll hit $1 billion?
Oh, for sure. I think it'll be one of the few movies that'll hit $1 billion.
I think it'll just get there. I think
it'll end at like the billion. But yeah.
I think normally I would say like for sure, but I just feel like there's so many movies coming out every week now that
That it might already be too big.
You'll still get people watching it here and there, like in a couple of weeks, but I don't think the next few weeks you're gonna get a large portion to push it up another
I think
300
this
million.
one though will just keep playing because of being there for kids.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably what it's got.
Probably.
I mean, yeah, I guess with How to Train Your Dragon,
And
that
Elio's coming out too.
And Elio, yeah. But I think Lilo and Stitch is just such a big name that I think they'll keep it the whole summer, and or at least like this whole month and maybe the whole next month as just for kids. So who knows?
We shall see. But yeah, it's most likely gonna get it.
I think it's like just barely. It'll just barely get there, which it's not. That's nothing to scoff at. Again, with a budget of 100 million, I know the marketing was pretty strong, but just there. Good.
I mean, there's no movie that has hit 1 billion this year, right?
Nope. I think Minecraft came close.
Look at that.
That's
And
right.
Minecraft is technically like I see like 1 or 2 showings like spread around there. So I think just what is it, Warner Brothers who produced that or produced that or like distributed. So yeah, I think they're just trying really hard.
Interesting.
Can't blame them. Not blame them.
So I wouldn't be surprised if they because I don't know if it's still in theaters, but I wouldn't be surprised if in a month or two they'll do like a late summer re-release, like before you kids go back to school, rewatch Minecraft so we can push it to 1 billion.
Yeah, especially with
they had
August.
done that re-release, that weird like fun version re-release.
Be Rowdy re-release.
Yeah.
I guess it's the rowdy one. Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. So I know, like I think there are a couple of casts that I think we didn't catch. I guess because we'll talk about like the the original and the differences. But you had Amy Hill's a new character, just like Tia Carrere plays a new character. Kaiko Dudoit plays David. Again, David being David. Like I liked David's character. Even watching the original, it's like good for you. But my favorite, and I don't know if this may be jumping the gun, but my other favorite cameo was Jason Scott Lee as the Luau manager.
Yep.
That was really cool. Little known fact, that's the original David.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Every time I see him, I always think of
Mowgli.
Either Mowgli because he was in a Jungle Book TV movie.
Oh my god, I know what you're gonna say.
Or the TV movie for the Bruce Lee story. He was Bruce Lee in a TV movie.
No, there's a third thing you know him from.
Well, those are the two main things. But usually when I see him, I'm like, oh, Mowgli. But you could say the third one. I don't know what you're thinking of.
Dude, you know what I'm thinking about. Come on, because you know how okay, so I'll give you a little hint. Stitch doesn't like water. He doesn't work in water.
Unless he's got power.
Unless you got power. That is Jason Scott Lee. That one dude from Back to the Future 2. Oh man, we're dorks. I love it.
With
Really?
Elsa.
That was him? What?
That's Jason Scott Lee. That's
Oh
correct.
wow. I gotta
And then,
Yeah,
I gotta
and then we
rewatch the movie
gotta
now.
and then we gotta put the Alan Silvestri connection.
absolutely. Good point. Did he do the music
He
of
did
the
for the
original?
animated movie.
Yeah, he did the original. Yeah. But yeah, that was that's actually like once you mentioned Al Silvestri, it's like, oh, that's right, he did the original one. That was pretty cool. So, that's pretty dope. So, I want to ask you guys, kind of shifting over from going off of the credits and quickly talking about before we get real deep into like the character portrayals and everything. Do you guys remember when you saw it in theaters? Like what you guys thought? Like what was your initial takeaways? Because I'm very interested in hearing what you guys had to say.
The original one.
Yeah, the original.
So I never saw the original in theaters, but I did see it like at home, like on VHS probably or DVD, probably VHS. But I'd only seen it at home as a kid.
Okay, but yeah, but you saw it as a kid. Okay, what did you think
Yeah.
as a kid? Like watching it, like because I know you've probably seen it, but after watching like some of the other big stuff from the '90s, maybe like the your Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin's, Lion King's, Hercules, Mulan, all that stuff, right?
Yeah. No, but I like this one. This was one that I enjoyed. And then I think like the show too. I think I watched more of the show. Because it was always on.
Gotcha.
How long was that show? Because I felt the same thing. I felt
Yeah,
like
I felt like it was always
when
playing.
when it came out, I felt like there were so many episodes, or they just showed a bunch of reruns all the time. Because I felt that whenever my younger brothers would have the Disney Channel on, I feel like that was always on. I'm like, man, how many episodes is this?
So the show, from what I looked up before, it's only 2 seasons, so it's very short.
Oh my god! But is it like 2 seasons of 100 episodes each, or 50
No,
episodes?
like probably the typical like 15 to 20 episodes, somewhere around
I have
there.
to. I gotta look this
So
up.
2 seasons and it's 65
Total
episodes.
episodes.
In
Oh,
total.
total. So over
Yeah.
30 episodes a season.
Well,
average.
season one has 39 episodes,
Damn. Okay.
and then season two has 28.
Okay, so
Okay.
I guess that's like 6 seasons nowadays.
The movie.
Yeah. So
Um,
yeah, but they're like 20-minute episodes. So
yeah.
but still.
But yeah, I did just like you. It definitely felt like there was a ton of episodes, and they were on frequently, or maybe my brothers just knew what time they would show it, and they would always put it on. Because this came out, so that's '04. So I was still in high school, but I was a junior. So
For
yeah,
like the show or
the show came out 2004.
okay.
2000. It was like late 2003 and then 2004.
Apparently, the pilot
So
film came out in 2003. Yeah.
so yeah, I was sophomore, junior in high school. So I know I did see this in theaters. I don't remember like much of like the reaction of when it came out in theaters, but I remember I enjoyed it. I was like, oh yeah, it was a nice, classic, nice Disney movie. And I know my brothers liked it. And then when the show came out, I was like, oh, the show is pretty fun too. Um, so yeah, I mean, I always thought it was like a fun movie and a fun character, and it's still very surprising to hear that even though this movie's that old from 2003, that the character of Stitch is still very popular just in general, like around the world, merchandise wise.
Oh yeah, when I went to see the live action, like everybody showed up. Like they had like Stitch sweaters, Lilo and Stitch, like hoodies, just like just everywhere. And I think that's a pretty cool thing. Like it was kind of like I had a sort of like a missed out kind of like nostalgia. I think there's like actual word for it, but like that was something where I saw everyone kind of like enjoying it and like, hey, this is coming back and reliving, like the fun they saw it as when they were younger, or now people who have like maybe my age or Anthony's age, and if they have kids, like maybe they're showing this to their kids, watching both. Like that's a really cool experience to have. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I mean, right now, I was looking up somewhere that last year, Lilo and Stitch merch sales for Disney was $2.6 billion.
Just the franchise?
Yes.
Wow. Or just that franchise of
like
their stuff.
just
Wow.
Lilo and Stitch
That's
Wow.
crazy.
for last year. Yeah, that's wild.
Damn. What about you, Zach? Did you watch this at home or in theaters?
The original, no.
Oh, were you
I think
not born yet? No, I'm kidding.
Actually, no.
Sure. He's like 3?
I was 4 when it
Damn, I was
I think
close.
when it came out. And I mean I watched it pretty much only when I was or like only from home. Like I think I still have the original VHS. But I can't remember if it was in English or Spanish, to be honest. I want to say that it's probably in Spanish, but I haven't watched that VHS in like probably 15 years. And I'm 27. But I did watch it quite a few times growing up. And then, of course, I didn't watch it for quite a while. And I think I watched it a few months ago, actually. And then I rewatched it again a couple weeks ago before the live action came out. So I watched it a few times. And then I ended up watching all of the other movies. Because there was one I had seen, and then the rest I hadn't seen before. So it was quite an experience. But for the original movie, no, I never watched it in theaters. I mean, would I have remembered back then if I watched it in theaters? Probably not. But I do, or I have enjoyed this movie every time I watch it because it's just a lot of fun and it's really great.
Right on. That's very cool. If I may share, I actually watched this at home, in anticipation for the live action, and I finally sat down. It was like a nice lazy Sunday. I was like, you know what? It's time to watch Lilo and Stitch. And the people I was watching with it, they had seen it before, and so like the opening sequence of Stitch being kind of put on trial, like this poor guy just barely existing, and he's being put on trial to like see whether he should live or not. It's kind of sad in an existential way, but then like Dr. Jumba's like super proud of what he has and just like he's the ultimate like kind of like terrorizer weapon thing, and poor Stitch is just like, oh, is it just in his nature just to be like mean and cruel? And I love the scene where he just kind of like says something in an alien language and everybody's just aghast. And like that's funny. They had that same scene in the live action one, and so like watching it, I was like waiting for it, like wait for it, and like even the crowd I watched it with like kind of chuckled because like cool they kept that in there. But yeah, like, all that was like just kind of like all the setup to get to Hawaii. I think was exciting. But I will say the thing that always stuck out to me from the beginning is, at least in the animated film, is the like they see the title card and then there's a fish with like a sandwich. I was like, what the heck is going on? And the people I was watching with, like, just accept it. Like, just don't ask questions. It was really funny. Like the whole sequence of, my favorite side character. Well, my second favorite side character, Pudge the fish. My like real favorite side character is the frog. that one frog who's just like
Frog that shows up multiple times.
Dude, that frog teleports. I don't care what anyone says. That's a teleporting frog. But I think like now being older, I kind of really appreciate and kind of value Lilo's like free spiritedness. I thought that was really cool, and to see it translate in both films, I think was pretty cool. And I think they still kept most of like the same characteristics with Lilo. I think that's kind of necessary, but I may be getting ahead there. But yeah, like watching it, and I thought I was like, man, like I kind of wish I would have seen this in theaters. I think I would have had a good time, and I think it's a good film, tells a good message, good story. It's still classic hand drawn animation. The music's really cool, unique storytelling at that point. So I think that's around that time. Like Disney was like trying things out, like with different ways to tell stories. I think and starting to branch out a bit more. Um, things like Emperor's New Groove, Atlantis, this Treasure Planet. Like they were really like swinging for the fences there. And I think now like maybe with rosy tinted glasses, a lot of people are looking back and it's like, man, like if Disney's out here trying to make live action remakes, they could probably do live action remakes of those movies.
Yeah, because
Interesting stuff.
those are the maybe like I wouldn't say like least no, not least least known ones because they were in
Oh,
like
classics, right?
the back half of the some of the last hand-drawn animated movies that they did. So yeah, it's like if anything, they should remake those and then make those more popular, so then people will go back and watch the not as popular animated ones. Um, but yeah, I mean, like we said earlier, this one so far is doing very well money-wise. So it's very possible that there might be more people watching this version now that watched the original one because I don't think the original one made anywhere near as much money. Obviously, people probably seen it over the years, but
Yeah, they probably went back and watched it because, oh, what's this TV show on Disney about? And then they're like, oh, it's this. And then go back and
clearly,
watch the original.
clearly people have watched it if merchandise for this brand is still making $2 billion, which is nuts.
Exactly. Yeah, like that's the whole like it's it's making $2 billion, so it's like it's funny seeing the retread. What was it, 29 years ago when we had we had a Minority Report and Lilo and Stitch coming out. Was it like the same weekend? I don't remember.
I believe so. Yeah,
Yeah,
the
it was the
same
same
weekend. It
weekend.
was Minority Report, Tom Cruise movie versus Stitch in 2002, and then the same weekend was Final Reckoning. And this new one is pretty ridiculous. I don't know how they planned that. I don't know if they did, but I think it's pretty funny.
Maybe Tom Cruise did because like
Coincidence? I think
I
not.
think not.
Tom Cruise is like, I have to beat this little monster.
I have to beat the entity that is Stitch. Stitch is the entity, guys. I mean, he's a menace, is what he is.
They're both blue. I don't know.
I don't know. Hey,
They're both represented by blue.
damn, Zach's onto something. We got it.
Coincidence?
I think not. Oh man, but yeah, like I mean, I think both movies do a good job of you know getting some of the themes of like what's in someone's nature. Like, are you just born a certain way, or is it like just um if you like, especially when it comes to Stitch or Lilo being a kind of an outcast. Both movies still show the struggles that Nani has with trying to really help out or do what she can to help out her sister, but obviously struggling. There's I will say in the remake I wish there was a little bit more Elvis, but I think there may be some licensing stuff to go there. But I was surprised by how much Elvis was in the animated film. Surprisingly.
Yeah, they have like 4 or 5 songs?
I
songs?
think at least 4 songs. Yeah, especially like they're in the montage.
And then they had a cover in the credits as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like there was the same amount of Elvis.
No, I think there was maybe like 2 songs that weren't used in the live action.
But they used Suspicious Minds, so that's what matters. It's like a superpower. I love that scene. Like, I've seen that scene used in memes. So it was really cool.
Power is like to fart or something like that. What did she say?
Oh yeah, that which is like that's like or it's farting when I run.
Yeah.
Yeah, but which again, she's great. Like Lilo is great.
And then Stitch makes the noise like.
Yeah, like it's great. I love the but yeah, like the needle playing thing. Like I've seen memes of it. And I was like, okay, this is random. But then watching the original, they're playing a lot of Elvis because her parents liked Elvis, and like she's explaining like Elvis is the king. Like you got to know about Elvis, and like only at the very end, I think like in the credits where you have Stitch like sort of dressed up as Elvis, but in the animated film you had him on the beach dressed up as Elvis, kind
Mhm.
of like people are like, oh look, he's Elvis, and then he kind of has a freak out moment, which I always it's nice, and at least it's good to see in both movies. Like you have Stitch finally realizing like, oh no, I'm hurting Lilo or I'm making things worse. So like it's cool seeing that realization from the character. Good character arc for Stitch.
That
Go
was
ahead.
one. That's one of the things where I felt that um in the live action that they took some of his character development away, and then they like added a different some different scenes to try to like make up for it. Um, like I don't think they had the whole like an animated one with the whole like ugly duckling book and him like saying that he's lost. I don't think they had any of that in the live action, right?
No, they didn't have that.
And I felt like that was some of the stronger moments in the animated one where you actually like really feel for him, and he's like realizing like, oh, like this is me, like I'm like the outcast, and then he like realizes and he says like I'm lost, and it's like sad moments in the movie, and then like rewatch I'm like, man, why would they remove this? Like I'm not really sure why they would remove it. Um, but they had I forgot what they did in the live action, because I know there were. I feel like they spent more time with him, kind of like him messing up the multiple like outings of them, of like Nani trying to get a job, and it was like a montage of
Oh, the
him.
glasses. Yeah, the wine glass
Yeah,
was. It was in the
and
moment. It
also
was funny, but then it was also like, "Yay, we did it!" Oh,
oh, but
we
we're
did it, but
breaking
by
all
breaking
this
everything.
stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it was from the and also the different moments where she was like looking at for other jobs, and they just kept messing with the establishments that were there. And I think there was a couple more
so,
scenes of him messing things around in like her room or the house that just led to like her talking to him like, oh, like you're doing bad things, but I know you could like do good as well, like just
yeah.
because
Like you're
you're
not a bad
doing bad
person. You're
things
just
you're
doing
not a
bad things.
yeah. So
And
they kind of tried to fix it and turn it around, but I still wasn't sure why they wouldn't include ugly duckling portion, because I felt like it was pretty effective like in a cartoon version, but it was still pretty good.
yeah, it's still. I mean, yeah, it looks like it still resonated, though. Like you said, it could be better. Um, we talk about live action differences. What did you think about What did you guys think about Peakley and Jumba?
Zach.
Well,
Zach, eh?
before
Yeah.
Zach goes off, I
Well,
guess it
well,
was
yeah. I'd rather just
Oh,
Damn, your
Zach is
voice
gonna
is
have a
so
save
whole
on.
my thoughts. I'll save my
diatribe,
thoughts.
a whole diatribe.
it was interesting how they chose. I mean, I guess it makes sense if they wanted to keep the budget down and not use so much CGI to do the like where they change into a human.
I think it's also a
Uh,
suspension of disbelief kind of thing. Like, like there's gonna
yeah,
are they always gonna be so closed up, especially
yeah.
like Pleakley, like being super green and Jumba having to hide his eyes. Like that's a lot. Like it's funny to see like the whole thing.
Yeah,
Like
I
it
didn't mind that change either.
yeah, I don't mind. Like it made sense to me. Like
Yeah,
and they
I don't
still
even
had their characters. But Billy Magnuson, man, like from
But
watching
then
the
seeing like their
animated,
human form, like seeing how they're like made humor with the human forms was
yeah.
his expert on Earth, like I love that. Um, the so watching the animated and then going to watching the live action, I swear that he must have studied like so much from the animated film because like he sounded almost spot on. Like even like the little like the kind of like uh little inflections of where he gets like excited but also kind of freaked out. Like it he was awesome. Like to me like him and the little girl who plays Lilo like were big standouts for me. I was like, holy crap! Like these two are like too good right now. Like
I
I
forgot.
liked it a lot.
Did he do the mosquito thing in the live action? I can't remember.
But I don't know. I think because they did say something about like,
He
oh, we're just
did.
gonna vaporize it, and he's like, no, you can't. There's endangered species. And
Okay, yeah,
they kept
okay.
bringing back that
Yes.
same girl that's just like, I want to vaporize it. Okay.
Which I do want to say, just as a brief like comment, as a negative, um, in the animated show, they kind
The
of
show or the
bring up.
movie?
No,
Because
sorry, the movie.
I don't think
Uh,
I was gonna say like bringing in stuff for the show may not be a fair comparison since the
no,
animated had the
yeah,
shows.
I meant the movie. Yeah. So in the movie, at the end of the movie, they explain the whole endangered species for the mosquitoes thing, which they did not do in this movie, which kind of like feels like a throwaway when you first hear it at the beginning of the movie. Like, yeah, it sounds goofy at first, and that's how you feel when you watch the original animated movie. But then the payoff is there's like a quick line that is said
Oh
that's
yeah,
like, oh yeah, that explains the whole mosquito thing.
yeah. I
So
honestly agree.
they left it
That's one
out.
thing I agree with you on is that I wish that just like in the animated film, like Cobra Bubbles, like knew more about what was going on instead of just like, oh yeah, I'm in the CIA, but like, hey, like I actually know more about what's going on instead of just like, like I know we have like an alien on the loose, but just like I know this because I've been around it, which would have been cool to kind of like, have the council almost like hey, do the same thing in the live action in the animator. It's like, hey, you look familiar. You're like, oh yeah, Roswell 70 something. And then like he looked at him the whole line, I don't want to steal it from unless you want to say it, but the whole line where he looks at him, he's like, I convinced him to say that mosquitoes were an endangered species. So I was like, oh, okay, like cool. Cobra Bubbles knows what's up. But what's really cool is that at least in the animated film, like Cobra Bubbles legit like was in the role of a social worker, even though the little girl's like, "You're not a social worker." It's like,
Have you killed someone?
your
yeah, have you,
your knuckles say Cobra.
your knuckles say Cobra. He's like, yeah, and what was it? Was it in the animated or is it in the live action? Where it's just like, he's like, are you? He's like, can you read? He's like, yeah, and I can read you. Like she hit him with the bone saw. Like I don't remember if that was the live action or the animated.
That I think there's a live action, and
The
she
live
said
action.
that
Yeah,
to him. She said that
yeah,
to
she
him.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's like, can you read, little girl? And she's like, I can. I can read you. And he's just like, damn, so girl knows what's up. Um, the yeah, but yeah, Pleakley live action Pleakley, great stuff, great stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. He was good.
yeah, yeah, he was good. Like a lot of the beats were still like similar, like Stitch hiding in the animal shelter, him in the truck, and they're trying to like shoot him with all the darts to try to tranquilize him. I like the whole like, oh, he has super hearing. He's like, can he hear us? And they do the same like, yep, I can hear you. That was a good like, hey, that was a good thing to keep. I thought to myself like, okay, cool, like that's something we should definitely like they shouldn't have taken away. So thanks for that. Um,
And then I
but
guess also part of the like surfing montage that was in both a little different, but still generally.
yeah, like some of the other differences too. Like I think one of the changes I think modernized that. I mean, I'll go out on a limb and say that I liked was giving Nani a little bit more agency of just like, hey, like I have a like she has a life too. Like it's tough to just to say like, all right, I'm just gonna sacrifice. It's like if unless she really has to, like she was willing to just like, hey, I'm just gonna sacrifice all my hopes and dreams, but um there's ways to say like, hey, we can do this, and especially with like the teleport gun, I thought that was really cool. It's just like, oh yeah, like just come on over. Like that was that's similar to like kind of like a lot of the tech that you had in the animated, like like bringing in a sense that like you're bringing in like uh super advanced technology. I was like, oh, you can do that to still kind of make things a little bit more um kind of make it so that Nani can go do her thing, but still be connected to her um to family to Ohana. Pretty cool.
Yeah, that was one of the parts I felt a little iffy about. I was like, I didn't really liked the decision. I understood. I was like, oh, okay, I guess, but it's like I don't know why they made this change. And then, at the very least, the fact that she has like that gun, the teleporting gun, and that she could see her whenever. I'm like, okay, at least they did that. Um, but yeah, it was just weird. It was just like because they wrote that in for her to like be so smart and to go to school because none
Yeah,
of that was
and
in the cartoon. So
Yeah,
if they
and she's
didn't write
also
that in, then therefore she wouldn't have to go to school. So that's the only reason why I'm like, well, I mean, they kind of wrote themselves into that, and so that's why it's like I sort of don't like it, but at least they showed that, and they also showed that throughout the movie or parts of the movie that she didn't want to go, and it was like more people telling her, no, like, don't worry, you can go, you can go do this.
yeah. You're not
Uh,
you're not all on your own, which it's the idea of having ohana, like family, like hey, like you're you have family, like her friends, like her neighbor, and
right.
David. Yeah, and then even at
Yeah,
the end, like with the everything with Cobra at the end, he's like, oh, I'll keep an eye on Lilo as well. So like, and because he needs to keep an eye on Stitch, so it's just like, okay, cool. Like I could have worse jobs of watching aliens in Hawaii.
yeah, I was talking this over that same part recently, and yeah, it was kind of like, I think we agreed, it was kind of like, yeah, well, if the neighbors and everyone else around them was just like, oh well, yeah, you can go to school, it's like, then why couldn't she just go to school before, if everyone could just help out by watching over Lilo? So
It's because
again,
the
it's like,
idea of custody. I think that's the whole idea. Like, hey, like like what happens to her legally? Like she's still her legal guardian after her parents died.
I guess, but yeah, it was just a little, it's new problems that they kind of created by writing that stuff in. So I feel like they themselves made it a little bit more complicated, but they, at least for me, made it slightly better by like letting you know, like, oh, okay, well, she is doing this thing, but she still like has time to go see her, and she can just teleport there whenever. So I'm like, all right, that's fine, that's cool.
I what did you guys think about having her also be like growing up being like a champion surfer? I thought that
I,
was a cool
I was
little.
fine with that. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
makes
I thought that
sense.
was cool. I was like, damn, and it tied into the whole like, hey, I gotta like, the end of like Stitch being in the water, like I gotta carry him. Like
Like the
when I saw
training
that when
sequence.
I saw that as training, I was like, oh, that's gonna happen with
Needed
Stitch. Like
that.
it's in
They,
my
they they
brain.
needed that to show like, oh wait, but she's used to doing this, because we've told you earlier in the movie that she was like either a champion or very good at surfing, and also like training underwater and doing all that stuff. And
Yeah, because she
it's
was
like,
getting close to having that part time job as a surfing instructor, which she was like, damn, I could do this. Like this is pretty cool. And then she could teach people to do more or do less or get up, back down.
don't listen to me.
Don't listen to me. No, you're doing too much. She could kick
The
Kunu. She'll kick Kunu out of there.
Go watch I Love You, Man. But yeah, and
Sorry, that's just, that
and
whole sequence is great. Hey Kunu, can you give me a Hawaiian name? Yeah. Anyway,
I felt that the live action version emphasized more of like him being weighed down by the water. I know they mentioned it. Yeah, they definitely mentioned it in the animated one, and I think it only really mattered in one sequence in the animated one, but it felt like it was in multiple sequences where it mattered, and it, either that one time or two times that he almost drowned Lilo, and then he pretty much tried to sacrifice himself and just fell to the ocean so that Nani could get him. So I felt like they utilized and emphasized it more in the live action, and it definitely, used it for um, tense moments and sad moments to tug on our heartstrings. So
yeah, yeah, that was very. Yeah, I agree. It was very effective.
and
I thought, yeah,
that helped with Nani, like you said, like to bring it back with her doing her training underwater, and that helped with that end sequence with her saving Stitch for being like just going down deep into the water.
especially yeah, how they mentioned it was like, oh yeah, like he's just gonna crash in a water. He'll be done, and it's like, oh no, wait, he's stuck on some islands. Um, but which then like I don't know why, but it got me back to thinking two other side characters. So one other change to the or sorry, one other side character, but part of the change to the whole to the live action from the animated film was remember the guy trying to eat his ice cream?
Oh yeah, not in the live action.
No,
It
it was
was an
just
ice cream.
but it was just the one Hawaiian dude that always saw something wild, like the portal, and then he saw the ship, and he's just like, and then yeah, that poor guy was just going through it. Like everybody's gonna think he's insane.
No ice cream.
Yeah, but no ice cream. Yeah, everybody's gonna think he's crazy because of all the crap he saw. Like he saw he saw Pleakley through the porthole. He saw or Pleakley and Jumbo through the portal. He saw the ship. I forgot what else he saw. I don't know if he saw something Stitch did, but he was just like, "What the heck?" Like he was just so confused. Poor guy. That guy was not having it. Yeah, that poor guy. Let's see. But like I may be glossing over maybe one or two other things. Zach Galifianakis as Jumba. Uh, it was interesting hearing his voice come out of the classic like animated character, and then seeing him like fumble around in human form. I thought was fun, like a good little bit of like fun humor. Him and Billy Magnuson had great chemistry to kind of like keep up as like that bumbling duo trying to capture Stitch. They had some fun little character moments, and like Pleakley in the tub, and then the councilwoman calls. Still kept it solid. Anyway, as you can tell, I really liked Pleakley, but
Yeah,
I don't know
Pleakley was
what you
good.
guys thought. Yeah,
Danny,
What was that?
did you like Pleakley or
or Jumba. Yeah,
Jumba?
Yeah, I thought they were serviceable in the movie, and their humor was good.
I mean, yeah, I mean like Jumba when he makes like his full like antagonistic villain turn. Uh, the moment I think when it was just like, okay, no man, like Jumba's really like out to just be the bad guy, is when he starts ragging on Lilo's name. I was like, damn, that's messed up, dude. Like, it's like what? That's a stupid name. Like, was it Lisa? I was like, yeah, like her. Was it you, Lisa? Like, what a dumb name. Like, I was like, ow.
I think he
That's
goes to like 2 or 3 different names.
yeah, which is good, but they still kept the whole like sneaking around thing to hit the button. He's like, you can't even fly a ship. You're stupid. And I was like, damn, dude, like, what the heck? That was hilarious.
I feel like with me, I mean, like the chemistry between the characters, I think was all right, but again,
Which
I
one?
don't
Which
agree with
characters?
for Jumbo and Pleakley.
Okay.
I just don't agree with how they ended it at all. I don't agree at all. I feel
How
like
they ended what? Like how Jumba just went back to jail and there's no Gantu?
yeah, because I
I
mean,
don't
for
know.
anyone that has
Yeah,
watched the movie and then all the subsequent movies and the TV show, I mean, even at the end of the movie, the original movie, he turns good. Like, but to change that, and it's such a big change because I mean, I don't think they're going to do a sequel. But if they did
You don't
do a
think so?
sequel, I mean, they probably will.
Who's
I
gonna make
don't
$1 billion?
know.
They could
I'm
easily do
sure
a
they
sequel.
will.
I'm sure they will. But then it's like they have to retcon what happened in the original stuff and
Oh, they'll just have to come up
change
with
things up a
something
little bit.
new. Yeah.
they'll come up with something else. Maybe they'll be like in the
Or
animated show where
They'll probably
Gantu is like ends up turning with like the other Doctor Bad Guy thing. But then again, that brings an interesting point of like, is it because you've seen the animated film and all the TV show stuff too? But like, because like maybe
I
that's why
mean,
like
the
I don't
TV show
mind
I saw
because
from
I'm
those
so
things.
fresh. Like that's why I'm wondering if my perspective is just kind of different maybe than most because like I didn't mind it because yeah like I don't have the attachment to Gantu because of the show. And even
Well,
then the
it's
movie was just like he just was like I'm the bad cop running after him. It's just like
yeah.
there would end up being like 3 people chasing after Stitch. It was like Lilo, you had Jumba, and then Gantu. So it's like or Jumba, Pleakley, Gantu, like and then by correlation you have Nani and Cobra coming after Lilo.
no,
But yeah, like
it's
I agree
less
with
to
Zach.
do it's less to do with like attachment and more to do with this is the source material. At least follow the source material. Like, okay, like I've been wanting to make this comment for like a few days, like because I knew that this was going to be brought up. If any studio is going to do a remake of a movie, don't change things. Keep what was in the original source material, like almost down to the T, and just add things to expand on the lore. Don't change things just for the sake of changing things because maybe it works in animation but not in live action. Blah blah blah. Make it as close to the original as possible, and just add to it. Add things that make sense to it. But I mean, this was like a complete like change in plot for what the story is. So I don't like the fact that Gantu wasn't in the movie at all, and that they made Jumba the villain by the end of the movie. That's not the character. Like that's not what Jumba is. Like, and not like because like I'm a diehard Lilo and Stitch fan. It's just that's what it is. That's the source material. Work with that, and just make the movie live action.
Okay. Well, I will. I have an interesting kind of point to put out here. So by that logic, if anyone's going to remake or adapt anything, and just like you're going to do is add the source material, and not make changes, then you would not have Blade Runner or Jurassic Park, or even The Shining. What am I thinking? No.
Okay,
I'm trying to think of Shawshank.
but Lilo and Stitch was not a book. All of those were books.
Okay, so it's a book or a live action. It's still adapting from the original source.
Because it's going to be the same thing with with Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings. Yeah, things are going to be changed, but those movies were done very, very well for what they kept for the movie and what they left out. For Lilo and Stitch, you have just the movie. That was the original source material, the movie. You have the movie. If you're going to adapt that to live action, make it as close as you possibly can to that source material, and then just add the things that expand on the story rather than changing it up completely where it's such a different story that it's not, it would be considered not the same movie or not the same story.
Zach, I feel like I hear what you're saying, but I feel like you're contradicting yourself because I agree with Xavier in that aspect that like anything that's an adaptation, like that's what it is. It's an adaptation. So because if they were just gonna do shot for shot, 100% retread, then like you don't even need to do it because you have the animated movie there. So I think with the majority of these Disney movies that they've been doing into live action, I don't think any of them have been shot for shot, and actually most of them have been changed a lot. Some of them not changed that much, but all of them have had changes. Even Lion King. Lion King was
But were they
probably
good?
Were they Lion King was probably very shot for like maybe 90% shot for shot and all in CGI, but they still added stuff to it.
But were they good?
I mean, that's up to you. That's an opinion question. But then I also agree with you in the sense that I feel like they maybe did a little bit too much for this one, where they didn't need to.
Because like even with the small changes that they do, I don't mind that. I knew someone was gonna chuckle.
I'm not saying anything.
No, this is what I said.
Even with the changes they do make, but go ahead.
So that even with the changes, like I get a couple of small changes because like the ones that don't affect the story, like or ones that barely affect it that you don't even notice. But when you have a big change, like a character that by the end becomes the good guy, but then they change it to where he's the ultimate bad guy, like he is like the antagonist of the movie, when in the original the antagonist was a completely different character. That to me doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, and I agree with you. Like
It's
I
like saying,
also
okay,
I
like,
also
it's
didn't really like that change. like for this movie. But regardless, like it's just bound to happen whenever there's gonna be a remake or a revision of a movie or any sort of property. So there's gonna be some changes. I assure you that this week when we go watch the live action How to Train Your Dragon, which I know you like very much, the series, I assure you that there's gonna be changes from the animated one. But
I'm sure
at the
there
very
will be. I'm not
but
saying that there won't be
there's
changes.
probably won't be that many, and probably the main reason is because the actual guy that did the original animated movies also did this remake.
No, of
So
course. That's where
so
my hope is. Like a majority of what happens in the original movie stays intact, and very little is changed to the point where it feels like a different movie, or certain choices or certain things done or said by characters affects then if they potentially do the other two Dragons movies um, uh, as sequels for the live action. I mean, but the same thing can be said about Lilo and Stitch, where the one of the co-directors of the original movie came back to voice Stitch, but I feel like he wasn't really involved with the creative process. Like he
yeah,
was just there,
probably
like,
not.
okay, you're playing
Yeah, he
Stitch,
was the
and
voice.
that's your only role. I don't think he had any sort of producer credit, as far as I'm concerned.
He probably had
So
some producer credit because it's like his idea. Like the
I
story
mean,
of Lilo and Stitch is
He
his
had
idea.
original writer credit.
Right.
yeah, original writer, but not writer for this movie.
He
So
well no original writer, but he doesn't get a screenplay credit, but
yeah,
he gets a story credit because it's his story.
yeah, he gets like based on Lilo and Stitch by Chris Sanders and
Yeah,
Dean DeBlois. That's it. That's like the most credit he's gonna get,
yeah.
and of the voice of
And
Stitch, obviously.
this version was written and directed by someone else. And yeah, it's I understand where you're coming from, but like you can't really expect maybe any adaptation to be 100% the same. There's
No,
some that have
but
been done.
I'm not expecting a remake to be shot for shot. Again, I said that so long as most of the stuff is intact, that especially like the key aspects of the movie, like they're not going to remake Harry Potter and then have it where Voldemort doesn't get defeated, or Voldemort isn't the villain by the end of the story. Otherwise, that kind of defeats the whole purpose of Harry Potter. But some aspects of the books were not put into the movies, and I'm sure maybe some aspects won't be in the TV show when that comes out, like next year, the year after, whenever that comes out. I'm just saying, like, the key story elements in terms of like who the characters are and what the plot is, that should, for the most part, stay intact. Again, like the whole Gantu and Jumba thing. Like,
Right.
why
That
get rid of one
probably is the
character to
biggest
make then
one.
the other one the villain when that was never the original story?
Hmm.
That's
Yeah.
mainly what I'm trying to get at. Like all the main parts of like the main plot, certain characters that play big roles. When you change things like that, it feels like a different movie, and that's a lot of what I don't agree with Lilo and Stitch live action.
Yeah, I mean that's fine.
Okay.
But
That's
I
that's interesting.
obviously
Yeah.
we were talking about some of this beforehand that most likely the Gantu thing was a money situation. They didn't want to have a whole CGI big character. But I was also saying that rewatching the animated one, he's really only in a few scenes, and he's mainly in the last portion of the movie because Gantu's that one that actually captures Lilo and Stitch on his spaceship
Yeah,
and tries to like take them, and then they like fight him at the end with like a spaceship battle before he leaves planet Earth. And then pretty much after that the same ending happens, aside from in the live action Jumba is the one that gets taken away and everyone else kind of gets exiled to Earth. So that's the same, but in the animated one, Jumba, Pleakley, and I think Gantu as well get just like stay on Earth, right? Or does Gantu go back?
I believe Gantu stays on Earth.
Yeah.
I
So like
believe
no,
like
no, Gantu
no,
was
he goes
taken,
away.
but then in Stitch the movie, which is the
The
sequel,
second one.
but also then a prequel to the TV show.
It's the TV movie plot.
Right.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
The pilot.
So
yeah.
Like Gantu is very heavily involved in the whole show and the
Yeah.
other movie. So
and
Yeah,
at
because he
and
ends
some
up
point
like
during the
working
movie,
with the
he
bad guy. He's working
crashes.
with like I guess the antagonist of the show, if I remember, or if someone if I read
Dr.
somewhere.
Hamsterville, yes.
Yeah. So it's like, think of it. The way I kind of like sort of like kind of think about it is that like you have the like it's like the classic. I'm gonna roll two characters into one. So that like if anything like maybe if there's a sequel maybe you have Jumbo working with that guy or
or it's
something
very
like
possible
yeah.
Gantu will be in the sequel. Because
Who knows? Yeah.
they'll say, hey, well, we got $1 billion, so yeah, I think we could spend more money in the next one and spend the money on a CGI Gantu, and then maybe he'll be the enemy or the antagonist, maybe trying to look for Stitch or whatever they're gonna try to make up.
I would love for Kevin Michael Richardson to come back and voice.
That would be cool.
Now, look,
I'm surprised they didn't get Ving Rhames to just be
that's what I was
Mr.
just about to
Bubbles,
say.
Cobra Bubbles.
That was just about what I was about to say because, like physically, Ving Rhames does look like what Cobra Bubbles looks like in the animated movie, and obviously he does the voice too.
I like
So
Courtney B.
that would've been
Vance.
cool.
Like he's a good actor, but it was like, I mean, maybe they couldn't get him because he was probably doing Mission Impossible.
Doing all the Mission Impossible. That's
No, yeah,
a good point.
that's also very, very true.
Because it was the same time.
That's probably how Tom Cruise stuck it to Stitch. Oh, you can't get him for your movie because we're releasing at the same time.
I got Phineas Freak. Get out of here. Get out of here. But yeah. I
Yeah,
think
I would say that part with him being a bad guy and the ending of Nani like going to school and leaving. I'd say like those are like the two major differences. There's other smaller differences throughout the movie, but I would say those are the two main ones that I really noticed. I know there's a lot of little ones. You can definitely go through both movies and be like, oh, there's a difference, but
I think the one thing that we can all agree on is keeping Stitch's speech at the very end, like one for one, like perfect. That's still
I feel like that was a direct rip because like the what's it called
well, that's to your point of like you're not gonna don't change stuff from the source, right? Like if you're gonna have the most heartwarming moment in the entire like original animated film, like you're not gonna like change that.
Well, no, what I mean is like they just took the actual audio from the original movie and stuck it there because it was like the same cadence.
The same guy.
But I mean like the same exact cadence, like same exact everything about how he said it, about how Stitch gave that little speech. It was the exact, like I mean everything was exact. It wasn't like, oh yeah, like the way he like his tone when he said this was different. No. I'm like in the camp of they just ripped the audio directly because it sounded exactly.
If they did, then that's even better for what you were saying. Just do the same exact thing.
I mean, he still could have just re-recorded those lines, but I mean, it was like an exact copy. Like you can put both audio over each other; it's the same thing. That's how sure I am that was just the audio ripped from the original. Which is
It'll be
kind
fun
of
to see once it comes out, to kind of like compare that.
Yeah, that would be fun to do, but I think it's yeah, like if anything, Chris Sanders just like knows this, like he probably has like done this so many times, and it's like okay, cool, like get that going. So good on that.
One thing I realized is it seemed like there was more emphasis in the animated one that he was strong versus in the live action. I just felt like there were more scenes that show like even though Stitch is this tiny little thing that he's strong. Like just when he escapes from being in prison, he's like lifting up that huge blast door. when he gets run over by the truck when he lands on Hawaii, he actually gets run over by the tires and destroys all the tires. I don't think he destroyed the tires in the live action one. He just got hit.
No,
I
he
don't
just
think
got
they
hit
even
and
He got
show it
knocked
in the
out.
live action one.
Yeah, he got
Yeah, I
knocked
mean,
out.
if anything, the trucks got destroyed, like the axles and the suspension.
No, it was
got
just like
destroyed.
the screen went black and he got knocked out. Like that was it.
Yeah.
So I just little things like that. I'm like, oh. So it was more like me rewatching animated one and just a lot of times going like, huh, like I wonder why they changed that. I wonder why they did that. That's interesting. Interesting. They took this thing out. Oh, okay, but they kept that one. So it's cool to look at them both like pretty close to each other. But yeah, a little bit to what Zach was saying, like there are some things that they removed and then added. I'm just not sure why. I'm just like I mentioned before, like there were some very nice sentimental scenes in the animated one that just weren't included. I'm like, well, they probably should have kept that. Probably would have been even more of a tearjerker. But it is
One
what
thing
it
I
is.
want to add too, that back to what you guys were saying about Stitch, his like his strength and everything.
Mhm.
One of the lines that I caught immediately was towards the beginning when it's explained that because of Stitch's molecular I forget what the
City
verbiage
or
was. That
composition, yeah.
That he
yeah, something
sinks.
like that. That in the movie they said that, like in the live action they said that um molecular density, that's what it was. His
Mhm.
molecular density increases when he's in water.
Right. So he
In the
becomes heavy.
original, oh no, well, I mean, so that because if he gets in water, then he could get heavy and drown, right? Like
Mhm.
if that were the case,
Yeah.
which is what happened. But in the original movie, it's because of his molecular density that he already has, that when he gets in water, he would be too heavy to be able to swim. It's a slight difference, but it's different in terms of how his like DNA works. Because in the original, he already has the increased density. He gets into water, he's gonna not be able to float. But in the live action, they say that it's activated by water. It's weird.
Yeah, like his contact with water is what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a minimal change, but um,
He's got
it
automatic devil fruit. Devil fruit
Basically,
powers.
it's the One Piece reference.
so it makes sense to them what happens at the end of the movie,
Like
but
that highlighted that more
Mhm.
yeah, and
because
that's
of
if
that
you
explanation.
paid attention
Yeah.
to that, but also if you paid attention to the original, it was the opposite. Like one was the cause, one is the effect of it. So
Yeah. Still, they still hit the point of just like,
Yeah.
yeah, like water bad. Water bad.
Stitch bad, water bad.
It's bad, water bad. Stitch no bad. Anyway.
this is your goodness meter or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Oh no, or was that in the second movie? That was probably in the second movie. I don't know. It was something
That
about
might
his
have been.
goodness meter.
That's probably in the second movie. 'Cause I don't remember that.
Yeah,
I
because
don't,
in
I
Lilo
don't
and
remember
Stitch
that.
2, Stitch has a glitch. That was a whole part of the plot.
Yeah, that's the whole like pilot for the TV show.
But so Zach, did
No, no,
you?
no, 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 not Stitch the movie. Lilo and Stitch 2. That's a
Oh,
different thing. It's kind
or
of
is it a
like
prequel? Is it a
no,
prequel? No.
it's a sequel. It's a sequel that's not directly connected to the show and the TV movie. It's weird. It's like the continuity isn't there. I feel like it takes place after the original movie and then before the TV movie and the show. That's what it feels like anyway.
Okay. Yeah, because I looked it up. It came out in 2005. Dr.
Yeah, it came
Lilo.
out after,
Yeah.
but it feels like it's before that movie and the show, and
So
after the original movie. It's really weird, but the production value feels more like a movie than a TV show. Like they actually made it high quality animation, not the TV quality of animation.
Okay, gotcha.
And also some
Yeah.
good songs in that one.
Yeah.
So Zach, aside from those like major story changes that you weren't too fond of, but did you like? Because to me, this is probably like the main crux of both versions. Like, did you like the acting and the interplay between Lilo and Stitch and Nani, the sister? Because I thought that aspect of both movies was spot on. It was great.
I think
Oh
it
yeah,
was well
when
done in this
they're
movie.
fighting.
I think it's still like okay, probably not to do with like like the chemistry between the actors in their characters, but more so with the lines themselves. I feel like for some of the characters, they were given lines that it seems like they just memorized it and read it however they wanted to interpret it. If that makes sense, they weren't trying to like the actors they weren't trying to learn the lines and read it like to whoever they're acting in the scene with to get like the right tone and the right like delivery of the lines and everything. Like some of the lines felt like they were delivered um in a way that it didn't seem natural. Like oh like why would like who in real life would deliver or say something like this in this tone? I got that like a few times throughout the movie. It's like they were just given the line and they just said it however they wanted to deliver it or however they thought it would be interpreted or they wanted to interpret it. I don't know. It's just kind of weird. Um, but some of the like the chemistry between like some of the characters like Lilo and Nani and their actors, I enjoyed it for what it was.
Gotcha.
Danny, Xavier.
I'll let Danny go. I talk a lot.
Yeah, no, I liked. I thought like at least like the arguing and like the back and forth banter. At least like in the beginning when you first see them in the house before the social worker comes in and she's like stuck in the door and like trying to um trying to get Lilo and then
Like she locked in? Is that Capri Sun, not tea?
yeah,
It's like yes,
the Capri Sun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Capri Sun.
And then I guess like the relationship after like when they sing the song and like talk about the family and the famous quotes. But
Yeah, she still says she still has the
Mhm.
the very famous I like you more as a sister than a
sister
mom.
than a mom. Mhm.
Yeah, like that's the same touching. Or like when they see the shooting stars, like get out of the room! Like that whole bit where she's still like sneaking with the
Kicking her
door.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, and still making sure she makes her wish. Like that's still there. So those were the moments that you have to recreate. And I think they did that well too.
I like now that you mentioned that part. I like when she says like, "Oh, send me an angel, the best one you
Best
have,"
one.
and then it shows just
The next
Stitch.
scene.
She's
Yeah,
like,
Ah!
ah.
Yeah.
Or what was it also? Or like the miming of what Nani's trying to have Lilo say. It's still kind of did the same thing.
Hmm.
Or like when she says something, it's like you left her alone. Like those little moments, where Lilo's like, I don't know, like I'm cool. Like, but damn, I'm keeping it real. It was still like a good like moment. Or oh, slight change from instead of just straight up punching the little girl, like she pushes her off
Hmm.
the stage. I think that was maybe for this day and age probably a little more appropriate of just like I'm mad, I'm a pusher.
Yeah, because they
Um,
probably wouldn't have slipped on whatever water she was trailing in.
yeah, exactly. Um, but also the whole bit with the remote control car is like you have to act kindness, and it's like, look, Stitch gave you your car back. It's all totaled, and mangled. That girl deserves it. She's a no, I'm kidding. You have to complete wish ill will on her, but still it's cool. It was more of the whole idea of showing more of Lilo being an outcast. Um, we talked about Jason Scott Lee being the whole like fire in the luau like was still like pretty severe, so that was a pretty wild point. Um, yeah, but yeah, like obviously with the exception of like the ending, but it's one of those where like a lot of the stuff stayed the same, and at least from my point of view, overall, I think it's still effective. I think a lot of we can see from the box office, a lot of people found it effective or still okay. But
Yeah, and you have to also understand that there's plenty of people watching it right now that are probably really young now that may have never seen the original one. So to them, this is the original, and then they'll go back and see the other one after this.
yeah, guys, that's going to be happening with like a lot of this stuff. Like How
Yeah.
to Train Your Dragon, that's might be their first exposure to the whole series. They never watched the show on Cartoon Network, which I remember seeing the show on Cartoon Network. Or you have Superman coming out soon. Like this is going to be people's first actual Superman. Like we're already 13 years past Man of Steel, and it's going to be that's going to just be the reality of it. As Anthony's back gets worse and worse.
Oh,
These things
gosh.
happen. These things happen.
I wanted to mention, going back to what Zach was mentioning about like the line delivery. I didn't feel so much that the lines were off, but to me, the thing that I noticed when I was watching a live action was, and this was me watching a live action version, not not having seen the animated one for 20 years. I resaw the animated one like earlier today. So, but watching a live action one, it felt like to me like a lot of the scenes were rushed. Like the pacing was a little off. So, and I feel like that coincides with the line delivery, where it to me, I think it might have been an editing thing, where they might have been saying those same lines when they were arguing at each other, Lilo and Nani, but I felt like maybe like the camera edits and then like her running to her room and them screaming at each other, like to me just felt like super quick. And then I felt like a lot of the montages that they showed were also they were shot very quickly, and it just seemed like it seemed more fast paced. Even though the live action version is longer because they added, more scenes with I think Pleakley and Jumba trying to chase them.
Yeah, that's
Um,
wild because I will agree with you there that the opening after they are we're gonna just lock up Stitch, like him escaping was crazy fast, even though they
no,
added the
that
whole
was
like
fast.
that was crazy fast. He's like, oh, he even stole the red one. He's like, oh, and then like all of that was just like, oh yeah, he's going really fast, and then he hits the warp jump, and then it affects the main ship. Like that was, I remember watching, I was like, oh, this was really fast. But
in
then
the
you hit
live
the
action,
Hawaiian coaster ride. You're like, yay, we're here
in the live
now.
action, right?
In the
That's what
live
you're talking
action,
about?
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like I felt like a lot of scenes like sped through. Like here's like we're kind of doing it the same, but we're speeding through it. And then rewatching the animated one, and I'm mainly going off of that first like fight that they had, that Lilo and Nani have, where they're screaming at each other. It was the paced slower, and they were saying those same words, the same dialogue, but it like made more sense, and there was like no music. It was just dialogue. There was no score or anything. So I don't know if maybe I may have to rewatch the live action one. I don't know if maybe the quick editing, maybe there was background music that made it sound like things were going quick, and it was just like more kinetic versus like the animated one seemed like it was like taking its time to like, I guess maybe show you like this is like the dynamic between these characters.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a different flavor, and that was just like the thing that I noticed the most. I was like, this movie feels fast, even though like I know this is a longer movie, because the animated one's like an hour and 20, hour and 30 minutes. But yeah, I felt that was interesting. So that might have been also what Zach felt, and it just like bled into and this makes the dialogue
The
sound
dialogue come
weird
out
and
really
forced
fast. Yeah.
because it's being done faster. So maybe that's it. But, but yeah, Other than that, like kind of like what you said, Xavier. I mean, I overall liked, you know, I liked it for what it was, but I do prefer the animated one more. But they're both still enjoyable. Like I still got emotional on some of the emotional parts in the new version. So still
Yeah.
good and definitely good to take your kids to.
Yep.
But
And your boy the frog still shows up.
yeah, man, you still get CGI frog.
CGI judgmental frog.
Yeah.
The whole time. Anyway, yeah. I agree. Yeah. I don't have anything else to say there. Anthony kind of said it all. Like, hey, it's good to take the family to, good to watch. You have the original, either, if you have it on physical or whatever streaming now at Disney Plus. But yeah, it's overall still an enjoyable Hawaiian roller coaster ride.
Yeah, that scene was great.
Yeah.
In both versions. And I mean, if they're gonna make a sequel, they have to do it fast, because otherwise this girl's gonna grow up too quickly. And I think they found a really good Lilo.
They're gonna be it's gonna be the Stranger Things effect.
She's gonna
She's
be like
graduate high
Gonna be
school.
Lilo
like
and Stitch.
20.
Yeah, Lilo and Stitch 3, and she's gonna look like she's 20 when she's supposed to be like 12.
Yeah. Film these back to back. No, I'm kidding.
They
Any
could,
last?
and they
Yeah,
probably
they could.
should.
Man.
They
If they're
probably
gonna do it, they probably should. So, with that being said, everybody, any final thoughts before we preview what's gonna happen next week? I'm gonna take that as a no. All right.
Not
I said
really.
All right, cool. Well then, you heard it there. So give a little preview for next time. Talking about a nice family-friendly movie. We're gonna pivot all the way over to the probably one of the most anticipated action movies to come out this year. Especially with all the running off the high of John Wick 4, we have Ballerina starring Ana de Armas finally coming out after a year delay or something, or whatever the case may be. But we'll talk about that next time. Get to see what we all thought about it. Spoiler alert, things get hot, hot, hot. With that, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed what you saw with Lilo and Stitch live action, or if you haven't seen it yet, share your thoughts with us on live through our Instagram, on Threads, or any other platform of choice, as well as give a like and subscribe on your listening platform of choice. Thanks so much, and because that helps us out a lot. And I say again, thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, everybody.
Later.
Goodbye, Ohana.
Aloha.